of mindfulness. I'm a little later than I have been, but I'm still here. So, today we're going to talk about how to keep our faith, keep our peace, keep our joy in a world that is filled with chaos, right? So I'm going to read an excerpt from my book, Love God Herself, a journaling workbook for inner healing, inner guidance, and inner peace, okay? You have to have faith to show up as love in a world which values unloving behavior. What is most frightening about showing up in the world as love? What feels distrustful about being loving, lovely, loved, and lovable? What do you trust about being loving, lovely, loved, and lovable? Well, that's interesting, right? Trust. Because I think we understand that we are afraid and that we're angry. And it makes us kind of spiral with all the chaos that's happening right now in the world. But the thing that's most unsettling, I think, is that we are living in a world where unloving behavior is valued. And that's hard to swallow. That's a hard pill to swallow because a lot of things just feel like common sense. Of course we'd want to feed the world. Of course we want people to be clothed and housed. Of course we want people to have medical care that they need. It just feels like, of course we want to accept people for who they are. And we want everyone to feel loved, seen, heard. Of course, it feels like a no-brainer. But then there are people in the world who say, but. We say, we want people to be housed. And they say, but. We say, we want people to be fed. And they say, yeah, but. And we say, we want people to feel loved, seen, and heard. And they say, yeah, but. And what feels like basic kindness and love and a no-brainer in order for us to get along in the world, some people are vehemently opposed to. And so for those of us who feel like, yeah, we want people clothed, housed, fed with medical attention. We want people to feel seen, heard, accepted. Yes, no, of course we do. When we hear people who say, yeah, buts, or they don't want that, or they argue against it, it makes us feel distrustful, unsettled, afraid, and afraid to show up as love. Because there might even be punishment for showing up in the world as love. There might be punishment. There's laws for trying to feed the homeless in some cities. There are benches that have spikes in them so people without homes can't sit on them. There's lots of legislation so that people can't get health care and they can't get food. And that's constantly being batted around as a pawn, whether people should be fed or not, whether the poor should be taken care of. So when we see things like this, it makes us afraid. It makes us afraid to show up as love. It's confusing. It's confusing. We know what is right, but then you have people who really think that not housing the homeless and not feeding the poor is right. So it makes us who feel like that's common sense afraid to show up as loving, lovable, lovely, loving, loved, lovely individuals. And so today, I want us to find the strength and the continued faith to show up as love. Because I know that it can feel heavy, and it can feel scary, and it could feel like you might lose something, especially if you're using your voice in favor of, in protection of people who need protection, right? It can feel scary. So we're going to roll our shoulders back, up, back and down, towards the ears, back, down. We're going to settle just now in faith. And we're going to settle in trust. Realigning ourselves, closing our eyes, searching our heart's mind, body for anything that feels distrustful, feels faithless. We're going to realign just now with faith. With the faith that we can show up as vulnerable people who care about other people. With the faith that we can show love to people who are less fortunate than us, people who are in need, and people who are vulnerable. With the understanding that a lot of times that makes us vulnerable. If we pause, stop, and take care of someone else that's vulnerable, we feel vulnerable. But right now, we're going to align with our faith, align with our hope, align with our courage that says we can show love. We can show up in the world as love. And God will protect us from hurt, harm, and danger. Because that's what we fear, right? That's what we fear. If we show up in love, if we show up in protection, if we show up as a guardian, if we show up for the vulnerable, we fear that we will somehow be hurt. We will somehow be harmed. And it takes faith and courage to continue to show up for those who need us. So rolling our shoulders back, putting our chest out, opening our hands to our sides, and we're exposing our chest, our love, our heart center, big, knowing that that makes us vulnerable. Breathing into it. Big and release. Exposing our heart. Inhale. And saying yes. We will show up as love. We will show up lovely. We will show up loving. We will show up lovable. We will show up well loved in this world. We will show up for love because we know there's enough people in the world who want to show up for unloving behavior. And we cannot be neutral. We have to be all the way 100% for love. And we're aligning just now with the divine to say, yes, we are here. We are showing up for love in any way we can. We don't have to show up in every way. We can show up in the ways that we can. We can show up in the ways that we feel convicted to show up in. Opening our heart, exposing, breathing inside, knowing that there is some vulnerability for showing up for the vulnerable, but also knowing that as long as we are aligned with the divine, we are protected. There are angels watching over us. And we want to just tap into that belief right now, that faith, that knowing. Miracles come from people. Miracles come from what people agree to do and how people agree to show up for love every day, every moment, anytime they feel convicted. So we're remembering and we're staying close to and we're reminded that we are one with the divine, and therefore we can have the courage, the love, the purpose, the focus, the clarity, the conviction, the vulnerability to show up for love. Leaning back in your chair, keeping your heart exposed, relaxing the arms. Breathing in to that exposed chest. Breathing into the vulnerability. Breathing into love. Saying yes to what needs to be said for us to care for others, to show up as love in this chaotic world. We're showing up as love. Breathing into our chest, exhale, showing up as love in this chaotic world. Breathing in, big, big, big exhale, showing up as love in this chaos. Big, 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 showing up as love. Just now, placing our hands facing down for grounding in love. Listen for the beat of your heart and follow that beat with your awareness. The beat of your heart tells you that you are love, and that love is pumping through your veins and throughout your body. And then you can take heart and show love and show up as love and be love wherever you go, despite fear of consequences for it, despite negative reinforcement, fear of negative reinforcement, despite fear of punishment. We follow our heartbeat. Listen to the sound of our heartbeat. We follow that with our awareness. And we choose love. We choose to show up as love, not as fear, not as chaos. We're choosing to show up as love. With the affirmation, I am lovable. I am lovely. I am loved. I am loving. I am loved. I am loving. Thank you for taking this moment of mindfulness with me. I hope it makes you feel as good as it makes me feel. I hope it makes you feel as aligned as it makes me feel. And I hope today you will go forth in love and courage, showing up as in the world as the love that we need. I'll see you next time.